Okay, in this video we will be introducing radiation and talking a bit about background radiation. So, what is radiation? In the kind of broadest sense, radiation is just energy spreading out from a source. In this topic, we are going to concern ourselves with radiation of the following forms. But we'll look at all of those in detail in a later video. Bet you can't wait. So, where do these different types of radiation come from? Okay, so you know a nucleus. My bunch of neutrons and protons that exist in the centre of my atoms. Sometimes those nuclei are unstable. Happens to the best of us. When we use the word unstable, we mean they have too much pent-up energy. Bit like an overexcited puppy. They need to release that energy as radiation. That process is a bit like taking the puppy out for a long walk. Once they have released that radiation, the nucleus becomes stable again. Nap time for the puppy. So, where does all of this radiation come from? Well, we can either have a particular source of radiation that we're interested in, or we can just look all around us. There's radiation from natural sources, such as the Earth and space, that is constantly around us at all times. We call this type of radiation background radiation because it's always there in the background. We can have a little look at some of the places where this background radiation comes from. Here's a pie chart of the different sources of background radiation. You need to make sure for your GCSE that you have learnt these main sources. If you look closely, you'll see here we've got food. So what kind of food releases radiation? Well, the most common one probably is bananas. Doesn't that make them dangerous? No, I'm afraid radiation is not an excuse to stop eating bananas. In fact, you would have to eat about 100 million of them to expose yourself to a fatal dose. But what can we use to detect this radiation from our sources? Well, the first thing you can use is called a Geiger-Müller tube, or GM tube for short. This is a detector and it counts the radiation. As it does it, it clicks. So, for example, here's my impression of a Geiger-Müller tube counting the background radiation. Let me tell you, years of acting training went into that. And here's my impression of a Geiger-Müller tube when you put a radioactive isotope directly in front of it. Well, that was actually quite difficult. Another way you can measure the amount of radiation is using something called photographic film. Doctors and nurses often use this if they are working in hospitals with high levels of radiation. The film darkens when radiation is incident on it. The darker the film, the more radiation you've been exposed to. It helps doctors and nurses keep an eye on whether they need to remove themselves from the area. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Please make sure you download the notes and learn all of those sources of background radiation. If you enjoyed the video, please do like and subscribe and click on the next video to learn about those different types of radiation.